Battle of the Brains, presented by Invest 529. Central Virginia's high school academic quiz show. Today's match features Blacksburg High School versus Poquoson High School. Let's play.
Hello and good morning. Thanks so much for joining us for Battle of the Brains, our 22nd season of producing Central Virginia's only high school academic quiz show. I'm Cheryl Miller. Our teams are playing for a total of $20,000 in scholarship money this season, courtesy of Invest 529 and the E.W. Scripps Foundation. The final four teams will each get a share, the winning school receiving $10,000. Our competition welcomes teams from schools all across the Commonwealth of Virginia. The academic athletes joining us today are the Bruins of Blacksburg High School, coached by Mary Louise Moss. Founded in 1952, Blacksburg High School is part of the Montgomery County Public School System. The school sets high expectations as it prepares students to reach their full potential in both education and in life. There are about 1,300 students enrolled. Also here today, the Bull Islanders of Poquoson High School, coached by Tom Fay and Kip Flynn. Poquoson High School is located in the city of Poquoson, informally known as Bull Island. This is in the Hampton Roads metro area. Founded in 1910, this sole public secondary school in the city has approximately 700 students. A big welcome to all of our students today. Our match will consist of 3 toss-up rounds and a category round. Players will buzz in and wait for me to call on them before answering a question. Any interruption of questions with an incorrect answer will result in a point deduction. There is no deduction for an incorrect answer to a completed question. All right, students, let's start the first toss-up round. It is one of the longest rivers in Europe. The Ukrainian city of Kyiv lies on what river? Rishi.
Volga.
That is incorrect. What river that flows into the Black Sea? Poquoson? Jude?
The Danube.
It's actually the Dnieper River. The National Football League currently has how many teams in California?
2.
That is incorrect, and wait for me to call on you before giving an answer. AJ?
3.
3 is correct. The LA Chargers, the LA Rams, and the San Francisco 49ers. Now owned by the corporation Yum Brands, what fast food chain was started during the Great Depression by Harlan Sanders?
Kentucky Fried Chicken.
That is correct. Na3C6H5O7 is the chemical formula for what emulsifier used in making American cheese? And that would be sodium citrate. Currently ranked #1 in the world, what U.S. golfer took home the 2024 gold medal at the Paris Summer Olympics? Matea.
Scotty Scheffler.
Repeat for me.
Scotty Scheffler.
That is incorrect. Poquoson? AJ?
Tiger Woods.
It's actually Scotty Scheffler. In 1959, Alaska and Hawaii, the 49th and 50th states, were admitted to the Union during the term of which American president? Carlton?
Truman.
That is incorrect. Blacksburg? Rithik?
Eisenhower.
That is correct. What vector quantity has a magnitude squared in a common expression for kinetic energy and is defined as the rate, Jude?
Velocity.
Correct. Rate of change of displacement. According to the creationists, roughly how old is the planet Earth? AJ?
6,000 years old.
That is roughly right, yes. A good commander is benevolent and unconcerned with fame is a quote from The Art of War by what Chinese military? Rithik.
Oh, Sun Tzu.
That is correct. Military strategist. By what more recognized name is the Argentinian Jorge Bergoglio known? And that would be Pope Francis. The friendship bridges span the Mekong River in and around what capital city of Laos? Rithik.
Phnom Penh.
That is incorrect. Poquoson? It's the city of Vientiane. All right, teams, watch the monitors for a video question from the Battle of the Brains Brainy Bunch, and you must wait until the question is asked completely before buzzing in. If you buzz in before, we will not call on you.
Daedalus was one of the 2 mythological characters who escaped from the labyrinth on the island of Crete by flying away. Name the other one.
AJ.
Icarus.
That is correct. His son. When it first opened in 1957 as a 2-laned toll facility, this 3.5-mile bridge tunnel was the first bridge tunnel in the world. What is this Virginia structure that is currently, Jude?
Monitor Merrimack.
That is incorrect. That is currently undergoing a major overhaul. Blacksburg? That would be the Hampton Roads Bridge Tunnel. In physics, what measurement is defined as the vertical force exerted by a mass as a result of gravity? Carlton?
Weight.
Weight is correct. On August 31st, 1886, what unusual natural disaster struck Charleston, South Carolina, killing 60 people? Jude?
An earthquake.
That is correct. Estimated magnitude 7.3. What is the economic term for when money is less valuable and prices go up? Eli?
Inflation.
Correct. And that buzzer means the end of our first toss-up round. A good job by our team so far, but we do have a lot more questions to throw their way. Coming up next, we'll meet today's players, and then they'll take on the category round when Battle of the Brains continues.
Miss a week of Battle of the Brains? Want to catch up on the full season of play? Watch full episodes on our YouTube channel.
Welcome back to Battle of the Brains.
And here are the scores following the first toss-up round here on Battle of the Brains. Our team from Blacksburg with 30 points, our team from Poquoson High School with 50 points. And we'll get back to our match just ahead, but first we want to introduce you to today's players. Let's start by meeting our team from Blacksburg High School. They are the Bruins. First up is Matea Grove, who is a sophomore, plays soccer, enjoys listening to music, and his favorite book is The Great Gatsby. Next up is Eli Simonza, who is a sophomore, runs cross country, and has competed in the National Spelling Bee, run by our company, EW Scripts. Our team captain from Blacksburg High School is Rishi Nair, who is a junior who plays chess and tennis. And wrapping up our team is Rithik Aranash, who is Vice President of Finance for the DECA chapter and enjoys playing video games. A big welcome to our team from Blacksburg. Great to have you here on Battle of the Brains. Now let's meet our team from Poquoson High School, and they are the Bull Islanders. First up is AJ Lamaji, who is a junior, classically trained pianist, a member of the school's marching band. Our team captain is Jude Purdy, who is a senior, enjoys writing fantasy short stories, and is a big fan of ancient history. Carlton Gill is a junior who studies linguistics and has done Odyssey of the Mind for a year. And wrapping up our team from Poquoson High School is Chris Hicks, who is a senior, has played French horn for 7 years, enjoys studying history, and likes to take leisurely walks, getting some good exercise there. That is our team from Poquoson High School. Great to have you with us here as well, playing Battle of the Brains. And now for our category round. Each team will select one 10-question category from today's choices. If a team gets all of its questions correct in the allotted time, we'll give them a 20-point bonus. All right, teams, take a look. Here are today's categories from which you may choose. They are infamous people, anatomical adjectives, and catchphrases. And we do note that in this round, only the captains can officially answer for the team. They may confer with their teammates, though, to try to come up with the correct answer. Per the rules, the high score team gets first choice of category. That is our team from Poquoson High School. So Jude, quickly talk it over with your teammates and let me know what category you would like to play.
So we're going to do infamous people.
All right, I will give you a description of a historic or noted person. Name the person who achieved infamy for their deeds. The first is either U.S. general credited with the eradication of buffalo in the 1800s.
Buffalo Bill.
That would be William Sherman or Philip Sheridan.
Oh, okay.
U.S. Vice President who shot and killed Alexander Hamilton.
Aaron Burr.
Correct. English pirate who terrorized the high seas with his ship Queen Anne's Revenge in the early 1700s.
Edward Teach.
That is correct, or Blackbeard. American gangster nicknamed Scarface who was pursued by the Untouchables.
Al Capone.
Correct. Founder of the Khmer Rouge.
Pol Pot.
Correct. English king who had 6 wives and beheaded 2 of them.
Henry VIII.
Correct. Prince of Wallachia, known for impaling and boiling his enemies.
Vlad the Impaler.
Correct. Saudi Arabian leader of Al-Qaeda.
Pass.
That would be Osama bin Laden. instituted France's reign of terror?
Robespierre.
Correct. And finally, Queen of France, who ordered the murder of the Huguenots during the St. Bartholomew's Day massacre of 1572.
Catherine de Medici.
And that is correct. Good job. You know your infamous people. All right, Blacksburg. Anatomical adjectives or catchphrases. Rishi, talk it over with your teammates. Let me know what category you'd like to play.
Anatomical mean, like relating to the body. So catchphrases. We'll do catchphrases.
All right, name the fictional person most closely associated with these catchphrases. The first is bah humbug.
Scrooge.
Correct, Ebenezer Scrooge. Hi-yo Silver.
Pass.
That would be the Lone Ranger. Autobots transform.
Optimus Prime.
Correct. There's no place like home.
Dorothy.
Correct. Hasta la vista, baby.
The Terminator.
Correct. Zoinks.
Shaggy.
Correct. Martini, shaken, not stirred.
James Bond.
Correct. To infinity and beyond.
Buzz Lightyear.
Correct. Live long and prosper.
Spock.
Correct. And finally, Bazinga.
Sheldon Lee Cooper.
That is correct. Good job on your catchphrases. You watch a lot of TV. Good job with the category round. Teams up next, another toss-up round here on Battle of the Brains. Stay right here.
Battle of the Brains is always available. Find full episodes on YouTube and follow Battle of the Brains on social media.
Welcome back to Battle of the Brains.
Here are the scores following the category round here on Battle of the Brains. Our team from Blacksburg High School with 75 points. Our team from Poquoson High School with 80 points. And now back to Battle of the Brains in another toss-up round. Just a reminder first for teams, you do lose points if you interrupt a question with an incorrect answer. The other team then gets the chance to answer. And there is no conferring in the toss-up rounds. Here we go. What amendment to the U.S. Constitution prevents the federal government from forcing homeowners to house soldiers? Rithik.
3.
That is correct. During peacetime, the Third Amendment. Its definition is an official communication. Spell communique. Eli.
COMMUNIQUE.
That is correct. NBA Hall of Famer Bill Russell won 11 NBA titles playing center for which team? Matea.
Boston Celtics.
Correct, from 1956 to 1969. Inoculation as a possible preventive against smallpox was supplanted beginning in the late 18th century by what more successful and milder treatment? Carlton.
Vaccine.
That is correct, or vaccination. The docudrama Super Volcano proclaimed this U.S. region to be home to the most powerful volcano on Earth. This geothermal activity also explains the area's active landmarks. Carlton.
Yellowstone.
That is correct. The landmarks, the Geyser, Old Faithful. This was the first U.S. national park. All right, you might need your pencil and paper for this one. There are only two numbers that are twice the sum of their individual digits. One of them is 0. What is the other? And that other would be 18.
Just got it.
Name the only National Football League team from Florida to win a Super Bowl this century. Matea.
The Buccaneers.
That is correct. Adele credits this singer for making her journey to the U.S. a bit smoother. Name this British artist of Back to Black. AJ.
Amy Winehouse.
That is correct. First British female artist to win 5 Grammys. He was the first Secretary of State to become President of the United States. Name this man who's... Jude.
Thomas Jefferson.
Correct. His election was determined by the House of Representatives. He can be difficult, and many of Bob's co-workers complain about his intractability. Spell intractability. Eli.
INTRACTBILITY.
That is incorrect. Poquoson? AJ?
INTRACTABILITY.
That is correct. Eli missed the A in the middle. It is the most dense complex of Neolithic and Bronze Age monuments in England. Name this prehistoric monument located. Carlton.
Stonehenge.
Correct, about 2 miles west of Amesbury. It has over 64 million people, nearly twice the population of California. Its longitude is similar to the states of Washington, North Dakota, and Maine. Name this country that is the second largest. Eli.
Canada.
That is correct. Incorrect. The second largest in Europe. Carlton.
Germany.
It's actually France. She is one of the grand dames of American letters, winning the Pulitzer Prize in 1973 for her work, The Optimist's Daughter. Rishi.
Wheatley.
That is incorrect. Name this woman whose works include the photographs of her native Jackson, Mississippi. Poquoson. AJ.
Maya Angelou.
It's actually Eudora Welty. In Jewish tradition, the Ark of the Covenant was received by Moses from Jehovah on what sacred mountaintop? Jude.
Mount Sinai.
That is correct. The philosophical writings of this 19th century Austrian influenced the development of logical positivism, but he was more influential as a physicist who studied projectiles and aerodynamics. What man's name is used for measurements of speed in terms of the speed of sound? Carlton.
Mach.
Ernest Mach is correct. What is the formula for the area of a circle? Jude.
Pi r squared.
That is correct. All right, teams, watch and listen carefully to a video question from the Battle of the Brains Brainy Bunch, and you must wait until the question is asked completely before buzzing in.
Mounting debts motivated this Revolutionary War general to accept 20,000 pounds in exchange for the keys to West Point. Name this American traitor.
AJ.
Benedict Arnold.
Benedict Arnold is correct. And that buzzer means one more toss-up round just ahead and will double the point value. Stay tuned to see which of today's teams is our winner here on Battle of the Brains.
Love Battle of the Brains? Ready for your high school team to play next season? Go to battleofthebrains.net to learn more.
Due to technical difficulties, the judges have ruled to throw out the last two questions we had in the match and continue on with the match. We are within one question, one correct answer of a win. So teams, here we go. The amino acid sequences forming this protein's 4 subunits are affected in diseases like sickle cell anemia. What is this iron-containing oxygen carrier? Carlton.
Hemoglobin.
That is correct, and that gives Poquoson the win within one question. Congratulations to our team from Poquoson. Good job today by Chris, Carlton, Jude, and AJ. Great job today by Blacksburg High School, Matea, Eli, Rishi, and Brandon. I'm Cheryl Miller. Thank you so much for watching and playing along here on Battle of the Brains, and we'll see you back here next week. Great match, teams.
Game over. Thank you for watching Battle of the Brains. Presented by Invest 529. Goodbye.